Yo, dude. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. I can hear you perfectly right now.
Perfect, because I'm on these dated, old ass headphones here.
Say something real quick.
What's up, Danny Danny?
Okay, I
Hello.
can hear you. I can like I thought it was delayed for a second, but you're pretty good. I can hear you pretty well.
Hell yeah. Good deal. I'm typically, unfortunately, a little loud. So
No, you're good. You're good.
usually nobody has issues hearing me.
Okay. Is that a DJ controller in the background? Question.
Yes.
Oh, that looks
Yes,
sick,
it
bro.
is.
I can tell you
I
practicing after like the last like when I was talking to Enoch, bro.
Dude, yeah, he's right. I haven't admittedly like practiced as much as I need to be, but working on it, and that's my plan as soon as I hop off this call and a little bit more this weekend, just grind on that some.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Just want to let you know I already recorded like as soon as I joined.
Oh, you're good, man.
Most of the stuff is like I'm gonna try like I said with
I know
everybody
you'll
else
you'll
like
you'll chop. It's whatever.
yeah, and then like it's mainly free form. I just have all the bullet points. Like I sent you like one of the documents I had with Vaughn and everything. So basically the same layout. Just gonna keep flowing as much as I possibly can, and then chop out anything in case like there's a pause or a long pause in between. But yeah,
Yeah,
man,
man. All good.
I appreciate you for doing it. Like I say that to everybody that has the free time because I know it's difficult for everybody that there's the schedules don't align to everybody, but I appreciate everybody that's either supporting or anybody that I could get on a call with within the last at this point last month or two. It's really a great thing for everybody, and I mean at some point like I hope to like grow with everybody else on top of that, because on top of the videos I want to see everybody that I interview like just get bigger and bigger every single year, because you guys deserve it.
No, man. You deserve the same praise. Like I appreciate you doing this. This is super dope. It's like I think I DM'd you this, but it's nice to see content around the genre that isn't necessarily just like re-uploading or curating music for playlists, or the unique lane that kind of Vaughn and Yokai has sort of found. It's cool that you're just kind of doing your own thing, giving everybody some exposure, and yeah, man, we'll all grow together. It's just kind of what it is.
Yeah, definitely takes a lot of time. It's gonna take a long time, but I'm definitely down to see everybody grow, and I just want to see everybody like I talked about this. Like, there's no time for like beef. This is probably the best time to actually be in the community because there's so many shows coming out. There's so many things that are happening. Like, it's hard to like have I wish I could say controversy, but it's a difficult time to like be on the opposite spectrum and be like, oh, the scene's dying, oh, the name doesn't mean anything. I personally think like this is like the best time to actually either get into content or get into the actual community in general, because I feel like it's just gonna get stronger to this day.
It's definitely cool. Like it's the current era, if you want to call it that, of funk is, I mean, it's definitely more on the positive to me than the negative. Like, I don't know, I've been a long time listener of funk and just kind of SoundCloud music in general, which is of course I think similar to pretty much everybody else. Like maybe you didn't find funk right away, but you found it through like an adjacent artist or something, which is kind of how it worked for me. But I'm obviously a part of that newer sort of post generation of funk producers, the post COVID, I
Mm-hmm.
should say, generation. And it's cool, man. Like it's funk's a weird genre because it's we talk about this in Masterminds chat a lot, where it's like everybody, it seems like, starts as a listener and like a fan,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of who that entry was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for a lot of us, it was like a Vamp or a Sudier or someone or a Jason Rich. But I don't know, like there's just a lot of people. Ooh, there we go. That's hilarious. Knock my shit off. This is why you don't do use wires. That's so funny. Now I lost my whole train of thought. No, it's like it's a good time to be in funk. Like the community is pretty cool. Like there's no real barrier to entry. Tons and tons of producers, but it's like, yeah, my point was like everybody, it seems like, starts like as a fan and then just ultimately ends up becoming a producer in it, where that's kind of, I feel like, where a lot of the newer generation is at, is you had a bunch of guys that sort of kicked the door down early on, like the Vamps and Sudiers and Smokey, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of went into that, I don't know, like second generation, but that 2015 2016 kind of, like, I just think of it almost as like a holy mob era,
Yeah,
as that
yeah.
just seemed to be when that whole crew kind of started to blow, and that just carried on to me basically into COVID. And now you've got like whatever, if you want to call it the COVID generation, you've got the COVID generation.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, there's plenty of people off the top of my head, and I actually talked to Freddie Confetti about it, because funny enough, like he was, I asked him, "Are you down to do it?" And he said, "Oh fuck yeah!" And I was like, "Okay, next Monday." He was like, "Oh, no, Friday, next Friday." But we literally just got off of like a 3 hour, 4 hour call with each other, and I was like, it's already been 4 hours, and we were just talking
Damn,
about
man.
everything in general, the entire scene, like the like peak COVID, like how I got into being introduced by all the producers and everything, and sort of like he said, I would say like the point I was talking to him with was specifically like there's like 4 or 5 artists. You were one of them, Rocketman, Odd One Out, and Freddie Confetti himself, were basically this new generation of aspiring producers that are similar to like how I found the genre, and like how you said earlier, they were listeners and now they're producing stuff. So that's definitely a great thing, and it's cool because he talked about how he found like making music through Zap Beats tutorials, or like how he was able to grasp how to actually remake sort of similar sounds and similar vibes as like Roland Jones, Barry Main, Sudier, Smokey, all these people that we all look up to, or people that we aspire to sound similar to them, and just having that second wave of producers and possibly the next generation of producers after that.
Yeah, dude, those Freddie's right. And like those, I remember I saw those same Zappy's tutorials and definitely took like I learned from those for sure, because my sort of like I was familiar with funk, I think, before maybe I knew what it was like, what it was called. And when I was trying to make my transition in, I remember seeing those tutorials too and was curious, because it's like you can hear certain things and sort of pick up on whatever, maybe what type, you know, like the general vibe of a specific artist, like to your point, like a Sudier or anybody else that he covered in those tutorials himself.
Yeah.
Because he definitely has and his own, you know, unique style as well. But like you don't necessarily maybe pick up like when you're trying to start to make funk for the first time on all the intricacies and the little nuances that sort of separate all of those guys that he covered, or some of the names that you've mentioned. And yeah, those tutorials were majorly helpful, from just like sound selection and I don't know, just the sample styles, just all the stuff that goes into making all those dudes unique. Because it's not like, obviously using your own sounds and trying different things is encouraged. You know, obviously try to always find your unique sound, but I think sometimes people need that reference point before they can jump in. And like I was definitely one of those people where it was like, for instance, like Roland Jones was kind of my
Like your gateway, I
like,
guess.
yeah, for sure. He like, it felt like because I was already doing grimy, like, I don't know, just some of the, you know, worst versions of what I'm doing now. I was kind of always doing what I'm doing now in some capacity, because that was just my interest. Like I was very influenced by like Lex Luger and that whole 2010 Dat Piff mixtape era. I'm sure that's obvious with like the earlier stuff from me. Ronnie J and the things that he was doing with like Smoke Perp and Denzel Curry and all this stuff in the early SoundCloud era. So there's definitely influences there, so to where like I think my style originally kind of took from them. And then when I heard Roland in like, I don't know, some point in 2019, it might have been late 2019, but like leading into COVID, I was like, oh, that fits into this, you know what I mean, larger umbrella of producers that I've kind of been in and out, you know, listening to for however long, 2014, 2015, whatever it was. It was interesting to see him bring some new flavor and just a totally different style to the genre. And that definitely felt like it created an opening for, I mean, as I'm sure you've seen, you know, over the last 3 or 4 years, like since his really, you know, his big come up, like, I don't know, it felt like he kicked the door down for a lot of us for sure.
Yeah, I think I would say the biggest person that's kicked down that door, like when it comes to like networking, when it comes to like the music industry, would have to be, well, personally for me, I still think Jason Rich was like the biggest effect, because before I found out like underground rappers because of him. Like I found out about Baby No Money, G59, Ramirez, Young Gravy, like Denzel Curry, Juicy J, even 3 6 Mafia, like people that worked with him, like I found through Jason Rich. And then having that aesthetic, I've found funk like through them, and it was just like, oh damn, this is actually really good. like, and these people don't get credit, or people don't know them as much. So it's sort of like helping each other out at the end of the day, I would say.
Dude, Jason's the best. Like, he's actually funny enough. There, coincidentally, he was more or less the first, if you want a SoundCloud producer that I heard. It was like when I jumped on, I got on SoundCloud a little after one of my best friends. He was like more into EDM and all, rap and stuff in general. We had very similar rap tastes, but he was on. I wasn't familiar with SoundCloud, and I was just going over to his house, and we'd be partying or whatever, and listening to all kinds of things. And eventually, I started hearing a lot of just obscure, random rappers. You know what I mean? That just nobody had ever heard of, just making fire shit. And that led me to create my account, get on and start exploring. And I don't know, somehow I just ended up, I think everybody knows the feeling of whether you're a producer again or like a fan. Like if you've ever done you've gotten on SoundCloud for any meaningful amount of time, like you can go down a rabbit hole and find the craziest shit. And I don't know what really came first. I just remember I remember stumbling across a dude that actually produced for XXX Tentacion, like way early on, named Prez, PRXZ. It's I think how he spells it. Prez was like just doing the most evil, just dark shit, super in your face, high energy beats. And I heard him, and then somehow I think that's what it was. I might have heard him first, and then that segued into like a collab I think he and Slight did on like another X song. So then I like look up Slight, because the cool part about SoundCloud is like the community was always so good about tagging each other and showing credit and showing love, and like that's the best aspect of all of this. So it was always like one artist led to another, and then like, yeah, I think it went from like Prez to Slight to Jason, and Jason was sort of my entryway into Phonk, which of course then, opened up everything else. Like Roland was the one that made me want to hop in it myself, but I think Jason, in terms of like if I were to like really back it up, was kind of like that first one that I heard. I think I remember hearing some like just old solo stuff of his, like Pistol Grip and Feelings, and just miscellaneous tracks from him. And then I remember old Gravy songs and just laughing my ass off, like before anybody knew who Gravy was, like, and just that sound, like I don't know, there
before
was some
he
song
showed his
face,
I think
yes,
I think it was
dude,
like,
like Sandy, I think was the song, yeah, that I heard, where I was fucking dying laughing, man. That Sandy song, and just the lyrics were just, I don't know, it was a different era back then, but it was just so funny.
Yeah, he's like a really successful like SoundCloud rapper. Like that era, you can lump him in with a ton of other people, but it's sort of like the internet genre, you can categorize him under that category. And I'm glad that he's actually successful with it, because he's just bringing Jason up with him. Because I literally just found out while talking to Freddie that he actually collabed, or he worked with Juicy J. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, that's insane. That's awesome.
Right, and that's like probably every Phonk producer's dream, like to get a track with Juicy, for sure. But I mean, that's crazy. Like that's the real dream in general, though. Like if you're Jason or any of us, to be honest, like I think you see, any sort of like rapper producer duo, whether it's like Wonder Girl and Travis, or a Jason and Gravy, or a Southside and Future, or like just name like a popular duo, Metro and 21, for another one or whatever. It's like, it's cool. That's, I don't know, it's just like, that's the ultimate dream if you're into that and you like want to break into the industry, is to just do it from the bottom with somebody. And it's super, super sick that Jason and Gravy made that happen.
Yeah, man. Speaking of which, I want to talk about your come up like a little bit, because literally, dude, like I'm just shocked because like I found out about you last year, and I'm like, it was like really quickly, because like I think the only person that I know that like increased in like follower count specifically, that's just the number I'm going off of, is Thomas, which is DJ T-Main, because he started when I started about 2.5 years ago, and he's already at like 2K followers. I think he's part of Murdy Posse and Center Circle right now. Did you anticipate like that growth in like the last like year or two at all?
Absolutely not. No. To be honest, like most people, I think that like a lot of people are familiar, specifically Masterminds dudes, or just like a lot of the dudes in the Phonk Around and Find Out crew that I've gotten closer to over the last couple years. But dude, I just kind of started doing this like way later in life, I think, than a lot of people. I'm much older for the scene. Like I'm gonna be 34 at the end of the month, dude. I'm old and washed. Bro, like I got grays in here,
bro. Like,
yeah,
y'all making me sound young right now. I'm only 23. Holy shit.
Yeah,
bro.
I mean, yeah, it's so like Phonk, like when I was finding this in like just the SoundCloud, like that whole SoundCloud rapper era, for instance, not to like jump back to that, but that was like what I was partying to, was like just Phonk music and just ignorant SoundCloud shit. So I don't know, like I've always had like an obsessive, I feel like, ear for music. Like the type of person I think that can listen to a song 20 times in a row and not get sick of it, and then like take a day off or two, and then like come back to it and do it 20 more times. That's
Okay.
just kind of, I just have a weird approach to music. But to answer the question, no, I didn't, because it's like this was just something that I wanted to do away from my career. I have a creative job for a living, and I didn't, which was like just graphic design related and what I went to school for. And I would just come home from the day and like not really want to do that, I guess, as an outlet like it used to be prior to doing it for a job. And given how often I'm on a computer and just my love for rap, and again just like obsessing over songs and like listening to the beats over and over and over and over again, it just kind of made sense to take a stab at it. And I was pretty casual with it early on, from like, I don't know, 2017 to 2019. I didn't really get after it at hard or sort of like put my efforts in like any intentional way. And then again, like the Roland Jones thing kind of whatever inspired me, I guess, to get going. And then I just started stuff. But like you were talking about T-Main and like his quick rise.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dudes like him that are just killing it and have from early on. Like Space is another one that I listen to all the time, and like he's been blowing up and he hasn't been uploading that long. Everest, another one. Like I know everybody's, I think, probably been making music longer than they've posted, but like where they went right where I didn't was, I don't know, like I'm hard on myself, so like somebody might disagree, but I don't know. Like I don't know if I was ready to necessarily post publicly when I did. So it was like, I think looking back at it, I'm like, maybe I showed some potential in certain ways, but like just didn't really have my footing or fully flesh out like what I wanted my sound to be. Just, didn't have the most polished music in general. Whereas like T-Main and Space and some of those dudes, Everest, dude, they've been so good just right out the gate. It's crazy. But I didn't expect any of what I've gotten so far, because again, like 2020 and 2021, nothing happened for me like at all. So I think, well, don't get me wrong, I've had like, once I got my momentum, it's been steady and it's just been going the direction that it's going. But I don't think I think it seems faster maybe than it was, or at least maybe how it feels to me, because it's, I don't know, I don't want to say years in the making, like I've deserved it, you know what I mean? Because that's not how I feel. But obviously there's like, for anybody, there's just a lot of work that people don't see, and I grind away at this stuff constantly. So for me to, I guess, get the momentum was a bit of a surprise, but at the same time, like in some capacity too, it feels like I earned it, and things are just working out the way they worked out.
Yeah, like I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that you say that. Like I don't know, like when I found Phonk, I was heavily invested in like the behind the scenes of things. Like when it comes to cameras, when it comes to media, no one really knows the entire process. Like, yeah, you can see, like, example, like Super Bowl's coming up like this weekend. Whenever we're recording this, you see different snippets of people practicing, but the only thing that you see is like the final project or everything. Similar when it comes to like rapping or rappers. Like you just see the end product. You don't see the artwork, you don't see the designers, you don't see the producers, you don't see the managers, you don't see any of the team. That's sort of like why I kind of wanted to get into doing this in the first place, because through Phonk, like I got into like behind the scenes stuff, like we said earlier, Jason being a well-established producer and working with all these big names, that if like he doesn't get enough credit. Like that's sort of similar to how I basically started when it comes to like creating this content. Like there's not that many people that are interviewing producers or like people that are small names, so that's sort of a gate. This is sort of like a gateway to both listening to Phonk or finding producers that are really well established, along with helping you guys out in the first place.
Well, and to your point, like, dude, so many people in this community deserve it. Take me completely out of it. Again, any of those like dudes that I just mentioned, of course, like Space and all these people that are having their come up to all the OGs that maybe got the shine in like the heyday of SoundCloud, but are still kind of just tucked into that underbelly of, just this underground world that we're all a part of in SoundCloud. It's like there's so much happening constantly, and there's so many good producers that it's like, I think Enoch was saying in his interview with you, where it's like there's enough to go around for everybody. Everybody's, you know what I mean, when the time is right, kind of like deserves their shine. And it's like, I definitely agree, because there's just, I don't know. I mean, you're in this interviewing all of us now, so it's like I don't know where Phonk stands as like a genre for you, but for me in general, just like, I don't know if I want to say Phonk specifically, but just kind of the internet culture around SoundCloud and all the cool music in it is like my favorite thing musically. for
Mm-hmm.
me. So it's like I feel like if you really are to give it a chance and tap into it, there's something for everybody. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the loud, ignorant shit that I'm making. You know, you could get to something like, you know what I mean? Like my music might only be good for, you know, if you're pissed off or like at the gym or like just, you know, straight up want to rage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like, so it's like if that's what you're into, then cool. There's me and others like me that are doing that, but then you can go fully to the opposite side and, you know, get into that like core sort of OG sound and that Holy Mob sound, the stuff that's more melodic and pretty, still has awesome bounce, but might be more digestible or palatable to, you know, a wider audience. So it's like it's cool that the net at this point is like that wide that it's like it's kind of, you know, to Vaughn's point, it's all just what maybe started as funk. It's all just kind of been, it's now just internet music, and
Yeah.
there's a little bit of it for everybody.
Yeah, man. Going back to that, like when you said internet genre, like I don't want to go back to that topic multiple times because we can like stem all that shit from just being an internet genre as a whole. Like I remember back like maybe like the middle of last year or probably like the end of the summer when the Doja Cat thing happened with Trappin in Japan. That was sort of the first time a lot of people heard like a mainstream artist, and I think she's like top 10, top 20 artists in the world on Spotify, like actually know what Trappin in Japan or what Phonk is. Speaks volumes. It definitely speaks a lot of volumes.
Dude, I'm honestly surprised there haven't been more people like her that have discovered it. I mean, I'm sure there probably has, but maybe they just don't say anything, or it's just because, dude, I don't know if you've noticed, but I feel like in general, I don't know if you can like point to a particular artist, but it's like it's obviously SoundCloud had its era. It was huge. I mean, you've seen the numbers. It spawned a whole generation and grouping of rappers, and it launched a ton of careers, both from like the producer front and rappers as well. And it like I don't know. I feel like I hear the influence of Phonk or just like the general sound of like what SoundCloud is in a lot of mainstream stuff. Like I feel like, you
Yeah.
know, wasn't it Beyonce that had like a Kingpin Skinny Pimp or
Yeah,
something?
I
Like
was gonna say
you,
like Drake's
there,
it was 2 albums before he had Project Pad on it, I think, and a lot of Memphis inspiration from a couple of the songs too.
yeah, like I feel like I just hear Memphis vocal chops in a lot more, or have heard in the last like 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, because it's not like, I guess from a number standpoint, you know what I mean, that it's gotten any bigger. Like there's more producers, but there isn't the you know, same shine on SoundCloud that there used to be.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that it's kind of happening now, and maybe it's just as simple as like what is old is now new again. And you know, obviously that old 3-6 stuff and old Memphis stuff from the 90s like is dope. So maybe it's just like a coincidental timing thing, but I definitely see it, and I'd be surprised if there weren't, simply put, like more people like her that have seen this, especially those Ryan mixes or certain rare uploads. You know what I mean? You go to Rare's popular uploads and you see those staple Studier and Vance songs. It's like people have to be more hip to it or privy to it than we probably know. At least I'd think. Maybe not on like a big scale, but I would say more than, I don't know, we might imagine while we're sitting here in our basements and bedrooms doing this shit.
It all starts from a bedroom producer, man. Like that's shocking.
Sure.
Like I'm remembering when Doja Cat, like when she was just starting, there was a funny ass song that she did on SoundCloud, and like it just spawned her entire career, like just from like her being in her bedroom, like just making some shit up.
It's sick, man. Like I love
Crazy.
that there's no real barrier to entry to create in that kind of way. And as lame as the internet can be at times, like that's definitely one of those benefits for all of us, regardless of how far we want to take it or it goes for any of us. Like being able to, that's the coolest part. Like for SoundCloud is like the whole community sense of it, and the commenting and the, you know, just the culture around, I don't know, building each other up, as corny as it sounds. Like it's just what sparked my interest to it. I don't know.
Going back to what Enoch said, and the like the consistency shit and everything, bro.
Yeah, dude,
my,
I feel
my
you.
bad, bro. Like
I'm waiting to have that moment
minute,
myself here. Like I already had to knock my fucking phone down on its face. I'm like, I was waiting for a full blown stutter or something to come out.
Nah, bro, it's amazing. Like Enoch is like, the table is big. all you have to do is put in the work and you can eat at the table. And
He's not wrong.
I stand by that. Like, he's 100% right and 100% honest. Like, you can hate the guy or you can completely love the guy, but that's something that's realistic and that's honest, like, feedback and criticism.
Well, and like, to be honest, I'm proof of that. Like, I'm not particularly, and I'm not saying this, like, I'm not fishing for any compliments or attention when I say this, because I've said this to everybody. It's like, I'm not particularly talented naturally at this. It's been like a really slow grind for me. And the only way that, like, even with just my creative process in general, whether it's like for my job or for here, it's a lot of just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, and then repurposing it over and over and over until it gets to a point where I think that it's worth presenting. And that has just always been the way it's worked for me. That's just, like I said, part of my personal creative process. And it's just, I think I was telling this, I was DMing Gustavo, who's another dude who's like growing really quickly right now.
Yeah.
And he and I were DMing randomly, and I don't even remember why, but we just got into like a deeper conversation. I just was like, my whole advice to him, whether he asked for it or not, was just stay the course. Like, just, you know what I mean? Just keep grinding out, to Enoch's point and your point, like the consistency thing. Consistency was the only way that I was able to achieve anything. So like, what might seem like overnight success or like a super rapid come up for me or whatever it is that, you know, I've heard here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, it only came from just churning out umpteen tapes and, you know what I mean, trying to improve with each one and just figuring it out as I go. But I mean, if you show the community is welcoming enough that it's like, to, you know, again, circling back to like Team Ain and Space and all these dudes, Everest, like those guys that I was talking about earlier, that, I mean, they've been consistent from the jump. They put out quality from the jump. I mean, I'm sure we can all go back and critique our older stuff. I hate mine for sure. But like, you know, it's just, it's one of those things where it's like, people will see the potential, and like when the effort's there, like this community is really, really good about acknowledging that effort over time if you're consistent.
Yeah, that's true, because bro, I get so much criticism in 808, whether the shit's good or bad. Like, people are vocal about it. I'm not trying to plug 808 or anything, but like,
no, dude, you should.
Well, I definitely am. I've plugged it so many times, man.
I was gonna say, I don't know if it's the only thing, but it seems to be like, in my eyes, the thing in terms of like community outreach, I guess, that's, you know, not in the live show front or whatever. But I mean, Rocketman and you and was it Perspective Media and whoever else, I have no idea at this point. I remember it like from the jump and then now, but it's like, you guys are doing stuff for the community constantly. The weekly beat battle thing is super sick. It's fun. It was so fun to judge one of those. I mean, yeah, we need more of that kind of thing. So yeah, plug it. I just did. Join the 808.wave Discord. Join a beat battle. Join the listening parties. Do all that shit. Rocketman and everybody involved with this. Nobody has to be doing this. Everybody's volunteering it and, you know, doing it on their own time because they love the genre. So whatever, jump in.
Hell yeah, we definitely do need a lot more support from everybody. Like, people know about us. It's just, if we get more people, there will definitely be a lot bigger names too. And I'm actually shocked, bro. I can't believe he actually got Ryan to judge one of the shows. Like, this was before I actually got a heavy role into like helping him out with the server, and I was just like, there's no fucking way. So I literally just sat in the actual beat battle, and I was like, he's muted for a second, and then he started talking, and I was like, oh shit,
yeah,
that's crazy. And I was like, there's no way that we got so many people that are so big in this server, and it's just up from here at this point. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, dude, for sure. It's sick you got Ryan in there, because Ryan is like, we were talking about this. I remember I said something to him because I got to meet him last July when I went out to Denver for one of the shows at the box. And I was like, this dude moves like a ghost. Like, he totally moves in silence, and he did for years and years and years. And it was like, when I first got in contact with him, I was honestly shocked, similarly maybe to you were for him showing up for this thing. I was shocked that he even answered me.
Yeah.
Like, Ryan, I got to give a shout out to Ryan, because he has supported me literally from my first tape. Like, I DM'd him and like definitely tried to get his attention for sure. But truthfully, it was one of those like, shoot your shot. You don't expect him to see it or care or whatever. It's, you know, it's like, this dude has like over 500,000 people on his YouTube channel. I'm sure he gets DMs constantly. So I just assumed I'd get lost in the noise.
Yeah.
And I don't remember whether or not he read, I mean, he had to have read it, but it was like at some point after, you know, like a week or two or something after I DM'd him, he had showed support on my very first tape. And I was just like, whoa, what? Like, like, no way. Okay. You know, and he just been like, yeah, he just has been down from the jump. Like, I don't know. Ryan's dope.
That's all I gotta say about him, bro. Like, the names that he talks about, or like he puts in his mixes, maybe even his set, it's like people you can't even believe that he put in his set at all. Like names that have like less than 1,000 followers.
Oh,
Like
he's
that's
the
how
most
tapped
tapped
in.
in.
Like
Yeah.
holy shit.
He's more tapped in, I swear, than most people. Granted, it's like his thing to be, you know what I mean? That's like what's gotten him to the position he's in.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that's one of the cooler things about him, or I think we kind of even hinted at it earlier, like Jason. Like he's another one of those, like, just people that have been around for a long time that aren't afraid to show love or, you know, reach out to the smaller producers or smaller channels or whatever and work with them. Like that's super, super sick.
Yeah, man, because I remember I didn't realize that Center Circle got in contact with Jason until like I saw like one of their recent tapes, and it was like him supporting it and reposting, and I was like, damn, this is actually a big thing. And like they follow him, like he follows them back, they just support him. Like it's just crazy how like all these collectives and all these people are connected in some way, shape, or form.
When you know it's real too from Jason, like if you get a repost from Jason, like it actually means something, because he's not just like, he's from that era of like of SoundCloud, you know, just producer. I shouldn't even just like box him in as SoundCloud producer, but he's just from the era of like SoundCloud where if you reposted something, it was like, I mean, of course, probably your homie or whatever, but like it at the same time, or just it was something you truly liked. It wasn't just like, I'm gonna just repost anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely, I don't know, it's not in like some transactional way, but it was just nice that, I don't know, I like that he's picky, or others like him are picky about what they share. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's fascinating how that like not to, on some like tangent shit or anything. It's just, it's interesting how like reposting and all that stuff works now compared to back in the heyday or in SoundCloud's prime. You know, when, I don't know, feels like it meant a little more.
Mm-hmm. Like what's the word? Damn, I can't think of it right now. But it's like the era back in the day, way more different. Like people just gotta adjust to it. Whether it's like if SoundCloud gets any bigger than it is, if they optimize to a wider, broader audience, even though they are pretty optimized for being here for a long time, actually as long as Spotify. It's just more communal on SoundCloud side because you can comment and you can repost and like everything, and all of it's public. It's such a great thing for SoundCloud, even though like there are issues with SoundCloud every once in a while, like the fucking subscription fees and everything like that every single month. And same thing with Spotify. At least they're working on it, because I see it on a monthly basis. Like I don't post about updates from SoundCloud or anything, but I have seen newsletters where they actually talk about updates and different subscriptions. They talk about different like layouts that they're working on, different betas that they're using before they actually make it go public. Like, to my point, even though it seems like they're not listening to people, they're trying their hardest to actually have a platform where artists can grow. It's definitely a great thing behind the scenes, or like I said earlier, like behind the scenes, there's a lot more that's happening than we kind of don't expect.
For sure, dude. SoundCloud's definitely the GOAT platform for me. I mean, I think we probably all have some sort of, you know, bias to it at this point. Like I don't hate Spotify or Apple Music or anything. Spotify's been great. Similarly to SoundCloud for me, finding obscure rappers to flip or just new music in general. I don't know. This is not exactly the same point, but it's like, I don't mean, I'm sure you've had talks or the feeling like we all, like everything is just streaming now, like nobody owns anything. Mm-hmm. And with me being a little bit older, I remember that a little bit more, like having something tangible.
Yeah.
And while obviously we're still just streaming on SoundCloud, I think in some way that communal aspect of it and the commenting and like your covers art having like an impact and like sticking in people's memories, or, I mean, obviously you still have your cover art on Spotify and whatever too, but I don't know, there's something about SoundCloud that just feels like whatever it is that we're all doing, like it needs to stay here.
Yeah.
Like I don't blame a Kloudbug or somebody, for instance, who like just recently got on Spotify, and you, unless you're really tapped in to as big as he is, you know what I mean, in our scene, as much of a staple as he's been basically from the jump, unless you were really tapped into SoundCloud, chances are you've never heard of a guy as good as him, which is just nuts.
Yeah, like I'm actually shocked when because I found out about him through the Pirelli, I think it was 4 that he was featured on, and I knew him way before that because he was featured with a ton of other people that no one knows about that are just getting started in the scene. Let me just school a couple people real quick, because he's really talented. I'm actually shocked, and he's not. I know I'm not on his radar because he seems pretty to himself a lot. I never had a conversation with him before. I don't even think he's on Discord. I think he's just on SoundCloud and maybe Instagram, but hopefully like something in the future where we cross paths, that would be kind of dope to talk to him about that.
So I don't know him too well. I mean, I was fortunate enough that I was like, he was super kind and, was willing to do a song with me and all that. And I kind of got in contact with him through one of his friends, Caliber. I'm sure everybody knows Caliber at this point. Caliber is unreal. Yeah, and I mean, I got to chat with him. He does that Discord, and I got to chat with him like a handful of times. But like, he just does his own thing. He definitely is super supportive of the community. He's into a lot of stuff. Like we've talked music. He's tapped in more, I think, than people might realize. Like, he sees a lot of shit. He's been hella supportive. Like, Kloudbug's definitely awesome. He's just he's just a guy that, you can hear it. You know what I mean? Like, I like that. Like, I'm not even trying to like gas him up or anything too much, but it's like, I like that there's a mystery about him. Like, it's cool, to be honest. Like, not that it wasn't particularly inspired by him, but like the whole, like, he's not out, his whole anonymity thing is like, anonymity was kind of what I intentionally named myself around. Like, that's sort of where my name came from. Okay. Like, I didn't intend to, be showing face and doing this type of thing. So it's like, I can definitely respect, to my original point, that he just, you know what I mean? He's just doing his own thing, and like, he obviously kills it in the rap shit too. Like, he's just doing him.
Yeah, man. He's just in his own lane at this point.
For sure. Like, whenever he made that, like, it wasn't like a dramatic shift, but like, whenever he really honed in that sound that he has now from, I don't know, probably like 3 or so years ago, it seemed like whenever that shift started to happen, it was just like, I don't know. He just stood out, I think, on a totally different level, and just carved his own path, and that dude's nuts. His beats are nuts, but I'm done gassing him up.
Oh man. Okay. Going back to, because I didn't put
this
shit in any of my bullet points, bro. Like, holy shit.
I've probably just long-winded zigzagged you around whatever it is you actually wanted me to talk about.
Nah, bro, you're good. Like, the more that we talk about, I feel like the better that people get to know each and every single person that I bring on. Because like, the only person that did it, and I get inspiration from him, is Teddy. Like, he's the only person that does this sort of sit-down style, along with his mixes. And I think, like, bridging the gap, this is sort of the starting point to all of that.
Yeah, dude, shout out Teddy for that too, just real quick, because he's another one that's just been supportive of anyone that you can possibly think of. Obviously, not everybody's going to cross his radar, but yeah, shout out to him for doing the whole Phonk Show thing. Hopefully he and I can definitely get one of these down the road when I'm ready and got a proper mix and whatnot, because that format, the whole thing is cool. I love that he does his own mix. He's crazy talented. The interview and the sit down format is cool, because again, like, we're also siloed in our bedrooms or basements,
bedroom producers,
just doing, just sitting in our little hermit holes, making gangster music. So it's like, it's nice to just get to know people on a even just basic level. So it's like, not everybody is so much of a ghost. I know that kind of contradicts what I said regarding Kloudbug or like my own name, but it's nice and insightful to get to know people a little bit, for sure.
So going back to that, meeting people. So who is somebody that you actually, let me ask this question first. What was your first live show for Phonk? Because I know you took like a group picture last year. I think it was with Enoch, the entire Phonk Around residents, and probably Beck too. But I want to guess that's your first Phonk show, but I feel like it's probably before that, if you want to answer that.
Yeah. There was a couple before that. So I went out to Denver October, I think, of 2022. I think Enoch, God, I'm trying to remember. I know Enoch played. I don't remember if he headlined it or I don't remember, but I remember Enoch played. And I went out there because Enoch actually is one of my earlier contacts and friends in this back, I don't know, mid to late 2021 or something. I reached out to him. I had been listening to him since like 2019 or so, pretty early on. I listened to him like maybe a tape or two after he started dropping in Phonk and like did his genre switch. I had no idea he did a genre switch because I didn't even go back that far at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, first show, was October of 2022. I went out there kind of just honestly out of my comfort zone, but I had made the connection with Hoodie Main, Devin, if you've met him. And like Hoodie had been an earlier follow of mine. And so we had chatted, and it just kind of was one of those things that happened organically. And I just kind of said, screw it. Like, let's fly out there and see what this is all about. Mostly not even like, I was just curious to see it in general, because it was blowing my mind that they were actually doing shows for this thing I've just been listening to and obsessing over for years. So it was like, it kind of just doubled up as an opportunity to go, live music's just awesome in general. I love live music. So it was just an excuse to go have a new experience and meet new people. And it was honestly one of the better things I feel like I did, because it was cool to hear what we were all doing in a proper setting on a good sound system. And not like, it was insightful for me, to be honest, for the stuff that I did hear of mine, like just mixing. I know I still mix really loud, so it didn't change that, of course, but just different things with my own songs, and like that, hearing that shit like made me not stop, but certainly stop overthink less, simply put, my own beats, and stop overproducing as much, and just make a cool song. And like hearing Enoch's beats, because Enoch's beats can all just flow, bass
heavy, which shit.
Yes, which like
so good, man.
Which is all it's what I'm after, obviously. And it's like his songs can just flow. Sorry, I just got a call from Hoodie Main, of course, of all people. That's so bizarre,
bro.
That's so weird.
That's crazy.
But like, his songs can go from one to one to one to one to one. You know what I mean? They all flow into one another so well. And so like, I learned a lot seeing like Beck and Hoodie and just all these dudes play it, and it really changed the way I thought about my own music, which I know was not the original question, but yeah, it was October. Then I flew back out there. October 22, then I flew back out there, I think March or April, like in the spring of 2023. And then I went back out there a couple months later for that July show, because after I saw a couple shows in the lounge, like where they're free shows. Yeah. I mean, I was hooked for sure, and it was awesome, and it was just cool to go back out there and chill and get to know everybody better. But like, I really wanted to hear Phonk in the main room, because anybody who's like been to the box and been to that main room at all knows how crazy that sound system is, bro. It's huge. Yeah, and the environment and atmosphere of it is just super sick. So I'm like, I gotta make it out here. And so I just somehow to see whether it's like the 2-year anniversary, you know what I mean, if it was like a whole year before I made it out, but I need to see Phonk in the main room. And that was that one last July where that photo came from, and that was awesome, dude. Everybody really showed out and killed that show.
Yeah, bro. Like, I think when I realized it wasn't the Vamp shows that I went to in my hometown. It wasn't Chris, Bad Kids basically. But it was when I flew out to Denver and I met Rocketman the first time, and Vaughn went up on stage for the first time, and then I heard I think it was Perfect Aim. I think that's what the song was called on Volume 10. When I realized, holy shit, this is a thing. And then that's when I
was that the 1 year?
Yeah, that was the first year anniversary with Ryan and everybody. That was actually when I started. I'm pretty sure you probably like figured out who I was through that video.
Yeah. I started that, and I think I saw you just consistently, your name, I don't even know why sometimes anymore, and I'm sure you might relate to this. I don't even know why I read the Phonk subreddit, but I do. Dude, that place is unbelievable. We're just making up genres like every day on that. Like, but anyway, besides one, I saw your name pop up. Yeah, I think on there a lot. You were sharing your videos, and then naturally, you know what I mean? Again, like we're all on and off Instagram, and I don't know, like a reel popped up, or I don't know, something got recommended, and then I don't know. Again, going back to the consistency thing, it was just like, if people see your name enough, eventually they tap in, and that's how it worked for me as far as figuring out, who you were, what was going on.
Yeah, man. Going back to like the 1 year, like as soon as that first drop happened, like obviously I didn't know who Hoodie, Imperium, or Corey were at the time. Like the only person that I met was Bright Ideas, and I think Fiji went there, and Rocketman. That's about it.
I think I didn't get to meet him, but somebody told me after the fact. I think Fiji was there at that show in July that I was at. I'm surprised nobody pointed us out to one another, just because it was like, I don't know, I felt like I thought I had met every producer, you know what I mean, that was kind of in that area or that was there, and I had no idea he was there until after the fact. So that was kind of a bummer.
I didn't realize Red Hands went to the 1 year. I did not know.
Damn, I didn't know that either.
I think it was either Red Hands or somebody else, but I was like, are you serious? So I missed out on meeting like another Holy Mob member that entire night, because there's so many producers that are staying behind, just waiting to talk to Vaughn or talk to Ryan in general, and like, yeah, just so overwhelming at the same time. But going back to like his set and like him making that video like a week or two prior, I didn't have, like, going back to that, like one of the first videos I ever made about Phonk, I didn't have any intention on going to the 1 year. I didn't even know there was like a Phonk show happening. Like I think it was like the black posters that they used for like the side room that they would do every single month. I would just see that, and then as soon as I saw, oh, Ryan Celsius, Von Storm are performing at the Black Box, I was like, okay, I need to connect with some people so that, one, I can actually have connections so that people get to know who I actually am, and on another end, like, actually see the music that I listen to religiously for like almost a half a decade. I need to see this in person so I can possibly get invested in this in the future. And ever since that, I've just been on a consistent roller coaster of just dropping videos, improving on my music, even though I only drop like once a month or once every like couple of weeks. But ever since then, I've just been trying to get as tapped in as I possibly can and helping everybody out in the long term.
I mean, it's basically the same experience for me, dude. Going back out there, like I said, in October, whatever, like of 22, like, I don't know, it's just inspiring. Which, I mean, it seems like that was like, one of your takeaways from going and just kind of taking the leap and seeing what it was about live. Because, I don't know, it's just, it hits different when you hear it on a real system in front of people. You get to see them dancing to your music. Like, it's just, and it's not, you're not at like a dance club, I guess, necessarily in like the traditional sense, you know what I mean, where you're just like trashed and like you just show up and like a DJ's playing Tyga or whatever, like, you know what I mean, or like whatever is just popping on the radio or in the industry at the time, which of course is also super fun, but it's different when you're going to see something super niche and unique that has deserved way more exposure than it's ever gotten for so many years. So it's like, yeah, I remember just walking away from that being like, I'm going to just keep going, regardless of whether I'm ever the guy that steps on stage here or gets that opportunity. Like, it's so sick to just come out here as a fan. And like, now that I'm friends with those dudes, like, again, and just for a shameless plug, like, shout out all the Phonk Around and Find Out dudes from Hoodie and Imperium and Corey, Wasabi Jackson, all those guys that like Enoch mentioned back when, like Rocketman, everybody, Caliber, Ponsuda, everybody, like all of those dudes have shown me personally so much love and have rinsed my music and brought it to a wider audience that I don't know, you know what I mean, if I would have gotten when I've gotten it or at all. So it's like, definitely, yeah, I know that's a side point, but like, shout out to those guys because I appreciate that shit a ton. And sorry if I left somebody out, but you all know who you are.
So many, bro. There's so many people. Like, like when I was talking to Freddie before this, there's so many people. Like off the top of both our heads, we thought like 24 people from Europe and America, and it's like there's so many people that need to be heard or need credit where credit is due. And it's like, it's a huge wave. It's a big wave, trust me, because promotion channels, like there's plenty of people that are on those channels and like the names, they pop up. There's a lot,
and they never stop popping up.
Yeah,
like, I mean, and everybody's been good. Ryan's always, obviously, we were talking about that, tapped into like smaller dudes, but like for a while, it felt like you were seeing, and this isn't like shade by any means, but it felt like you were seeing like other channels only kind of upload the same guys, but like that has just completely shifted, and you've got channels like Rare now where you're always seeing new names and like new people to discover, and it's, I don't know, it's sick.
How? Okay, because you saw me thinking for a second, man.
I know, a curveball question. I'm waiting for the why is your music so damn loud.
I didn't. The crazy thing was when you told me about that, I forgot to add it because like,
oh, you're good. I don't have an answer for it, so I was just expecting it because I feel like it's such a common talking point with my music. But go on, ask what you were gonna ask. I'm just being a turd.
Like I remember Rock when when I was in Colorado, he played I think 1 year tapes, and I was like, yo, this shit's actually fire. I didn't even realize that it was loud until like he'd switched the volume. But the crazy thing was he turned it up.
Yeah, that's so funny. I was gonna say everybody's turning that trim knob down. for me. Making sure whatever we're not sending people home with tinnitus.
Going back to talking about Enocalypse, the man,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
myth, the legend, the guy himself that will share his opinion whether you like it or not. He called you out on that video about DJing. So
yeah, for sure.
So when do you think that'll possibly happen, or is that on your agenda for the next year?
Oh, it's long overdue. It's been on my agenda for a while. Pretty much the moment that I got back from that first trip out to Denver in October or whatever, like a year or so ago, I was like, okay, I need to make this a priority. But to be honest, dude, it was so hard. I had borrowed a buddy. He had like a starter controller, like a DDJ 400. But I don't know. I just didn't have the confidence. Like I was going to be good to get me through the basics, but I didn't honestly have the confidence that it was going to take me to a level that I was going to be personally confident enough in my own abilities to like go all the way from that to a stage for the first time that like gives me a ton of anxiety just to think about. And then like also having to do it on CDJs. You know what I mean? Like it's just such a night and day difference in terms of equipment. And I mean, the basics are going to translate regardless. So it wasn't truly worth overthinking. But that's my long-winded way to say that like that controller that we saw earlier, I wanted to get as close as I could to CDJs or something that at least had a bunch of options and just save my money and invest in something that I felt like was going to future-proof me and have some longevity that I could take with me also somewhere and do shows, you know, if I felt like it. So some of it, like I didn't jump on right away because I was just trying to save the money to buy something super legit. And then at the same time, like, dude, there's supply chain issues. Like they were out of stock everywhere constantly. Like I felt like I was checking every week for months on various, you know, just audio equipment website. Everywhere. And like you could just never find, and I mean Pioneer, whatever, of course their website directly was always sold out. So it was one of those things like I'm not gonna pay $1,500 or $1,000 more or whatever for like a used one that you'd see on eBay. It was just insane. So it took like 6 months, I felt like, before I ended up even being able to like one, just like purchase it and afford it, and then two, find one. So I spent like whatever, you know, half a year, 3/4 of that year after that, just trying to get the equipment so that I could get going. And yeah, and I mean, now whatever, I'm moving on it a little bit more, but just trying to balance it with my job, you know, the thing that actually does for now, like, you know, support me and allow me to afford my home and all that shit. I haven't given it as much attention as it deserves, but to just quit beating around the bush, I'm trying to be ready by like March. That's what I've been telling myself. I mean, maybe that, you know, bleeds into April a little bit, but basically when this weather warms up, like I want to be in a position where I feel good enough to get through an hour, you know, without any sort of major hiccups. And I definitely think I'm on my way through one of my best friends too. Like I'm lucky, I'm very lucky in this way. One of my best friends, who's like pretty much the only reason I started posting music publicly in the first place, that's actually works with a guy who has been a DJ locally where I'm from, which I'm from like a really tiny farm town, but like where I live now is like right outside of like a very, very small metro. I don't live in Chicago. I live like 3 hours south. For everybody who's ever DM'd me asking or just assumed I lived in Chicago, I don't. I'm in the middle of farm country, just flat plains, man.
So I'm guessing that's where you got your aesthetic with your cover art?
Yeah, so in general, like to like side shift, yeah, whatever, because I did just whatever. I mean, I answered the DJ thing. I'll be ready. I'm coming. I will be playing shows this year. I'm going to probably start locally through that connection, whatever that I made, and then hope to, you know, get out and play one with the boys in Denver. So, or wherever, you know, if they do another tour again and all that pans out, like whatever, we'll try to make it work with my work schedule and figure it out. But yeah, the aesthetic thing, that's, I mean, obviously it's the name and the aliens and all of that, but if you want to bring in like the Midwestern thing specifically, I know I've teased the Terror Town 2 cover, but I don't know if anybody in particular remembers it, but they'll know it when I post it. And then like Terror Town 1, those two tapes specifically have like a direct visual tie to kind of my area. So like growing up, there was like haunted houses, you know, the one that's like they ripped the chasing around with a chainsaw and a Jason mask and whatever. And like when I was a kid, I used to go to those. I don't know if that's like a thing all across the US or not, but we used to just go to these haunted houses and whatnot when I was a kid and in high school and stuff growing up. And one of them was like called Terror Town. So that was just kind of like and everybody, you know, it's like a Phonk requirement to drop something on Halloween or in the month of
Yeah.
October. It's like,
Mhm.
if you don't, who are you? You know what I mean? It's like it's just a weird thing in the community. So it was like I wanted to do a tape that was just kind of influenced by that part of my life. And then the second one has this like church. It's like a church with like a red cross and all these people levitating and looking like they're being abducted or whatever. And that's just kind of like a little nod to my hometown that had under 2,000 people but has like 7 churches in it. It's super bizarre. Yeah, so because definitely from like a very like hyper religious conservative area for sure. So it's kind of funny how opposite of that my music is, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm still Midwest
man.
born and raised, and so yeah, show a little bit of love like that, and specifically in those 2 cover arts. The rest of it is just alien stuff, sci-fi stuff that's just kind of just tied into, you know, my alias and just the general aesthetic that I wanted around the whole Stranger thing.
Yeah, man. Like going back to that, this isn't funk related at all, but like when you were talking
Yeah.
about how like the music that you make is like hard and it's like not is not relatable to like where you live. Like the first person that came up to I thought of was like country rappers or like
Yeah.
Jelly Roll, Upchurch, like all those people,
Yeah.
and specifically like Hydra Man, because he's from I think Tennessee. I think
Okay.
Tennessee. I'm hoping I get that right. I'll probably
But
look
like
it up.
some
Yeah.
blue
Like
collar,
down south.
you know, area where
Mhm.
people are a little more traditional and conservative.
Yeah, and then the music style that they have is hard. The style is more hip hop, but they have that country aesthetic, whether it's what they're rapping or like how they actually
Yeah.
deliver their verses. It's like, and that's something that I heard like while you were talking, or what I thought about.
Yeah, dude, definitely. That's part of, I mean, I know this actually sounds like where they're from, but it makes me just think like your comments just made me think of where the like Memphis scene is right now,
Mhm.
and how it's like that the regional sound that they have. I don't know. It's just different. There's a lot of, I don't know, just that southern twang, the like the soul samples and all the stuff that you hear, like Kenny Money and, you know, Glock. Key Glock has like made his shift kind of into that. Like, I don't know, that whole Big X, you know, like all of that whole region is interesting to me right now, because it's like it's both, I don't know, I'm losing my train of thought with it, but it's like it both sounds like it comes from there, but it doesn't. To your point, like you've got, it's still super gangsta and hard and aggressive, but then it's like over top of like pretty church music. which is interesting to me, but like I get, because while I'm not by any means from like a southern area, there's crossover, I guess, and in terms from like that region to certain parts of my state for sure, but just like my area in general. So it's, I don't know, it's interesting.
Okay. Sectioning off, I guess, or like transitioning to like the next question.
Yeah.
And there, bro, I had like a dozen questions, but like we got so many topics that we're talking about that aren't even on here. It's just massive. It's crazy. We already talked about what's up.
Want to rapid fire them, and I'll just not be long winded for once. Give you bullshit answers like my last one.
Nah, bro.
Just saying shit. I'm just saying words.
I personally think like this is a lot better. Like this a lot better because less cutting on my end. I know that for sure.
Yeah,
and people want.
I feel like I'm giving you hella cuts. I feel like I'm just saying shit.
Nah, bro. Like you're actually like rolling pretty. It's flowing. Like there's not that much of an issue. Like I'm grateful that you are like answering. It's like no weird pauses or anything. Like. It definitely helps me in the long run, and I know people want to see like longer formats or like listen to this stuff because they see the name, they don't know the face, or they don't know much about these artists in general. So definitely want to
fair enough
put this shit out for the people in general.
Like Enoch, man, I'm a little bit of a talker.
Oh man, so we already talked about a guest call out from him was Ponsuda.
Yeah.
If you don't know already,
guest call out in terms of like who to interview next or for a live show. I remember you did.
Yeah,
both.
He recommended Ponsuda. Rocketman recommended you. Yeah, Rocketman recommended you. So I'm kind of 7 for 7, and I already got Ponsuda done earlier this week.
Nice. Hell yeah, that'll be a good one. He deserves it too. That's an OG in this shit for sure.
And
he definitely deserves one.
He said Intius is his recommendation, and I'm like,
of course. And dude,
shit, bro.
Intius will do it too. Intius is another one of those dudes, not even to like side tangent again, but Intius is another one of those guys like Jason that's not afraid. I don't want to say reach down because I don't know, that just feels kind of lame, but he's not afraid to work with people with a much smaller audience. You know, him and Jason back when Enoch, like there's so many people that have done that, whereas I think maybe not necessarily them specifically, but others would be much more resistant to that, or like want you to pay insane amounts of money to work with them or whatever, and like none of those dudes do that, which is sick.
We're gonna get to
But
that, but like I was gonna say, like you could answer like that, and then I was gonna say also the reason why like I try to get big names on here is because I know for a fact that they get 100 DMs for collabing on music. Like I talked to I talked to Freddie about this before. It's like everybody can listen to the same track unless you have something that's unique or something that's different or like a different style. No one's really gonna remember it unless it's like one singular stream out of maybe like the max like somebody could probably get if it's like a big tape is like 10,000 plays, especially in our community. But if you have a video or if you have something that people can actually listen to, or somebody that can like listen, like they can either watch it, they can listen to it, I feel like that'll grasp to people's memories a lot more versus like just having a one-off collab or a two-off collab. And that's sort of like why I wanted to do this format in general.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I feel like I need to answer your question though on like who would I like to on who I'm trying to think who I feel like you should interview. I mean, you already got, since we got like Ponsuda covered, and he recommends Intius as another OG. You've got Vaughn again, an OG in this. You got like the Holy Mob trifecta right there, even though I know there's a lot more members. But let's see here. Because I mean, I could just name anybody in Masterminds too and just be like, yo, hit up Masterminds. But I don't know. I mean, I've gotten a lot closer to this dude the last year or so. So I think I'm just gonna, and I love his music, and like we share shit constantly, dude. If he's down to do it, like hit up Caliber. Caliber's a great guy. He's having a huge rise himself, but I still feel like flies under the radar. I mean, some of which is probably just because he's a really chill, low key dude. He's already doing the live sets, and he's already on the the Phonk Around to Find Out roster, but I would say hit up him, or honestly, because they deserve, because we've talked umpteen times, I feel like now at this, about people that deserve more than they have. Dude, hit up, and I know Enoch mentioned, get all three of them, because I think they're all going to have a perspective, like individually over time. It doesn't have to be back to back to back, but like, dude, get Hoodie Main, Imperium, and Corey, aka Wasabi Jackson. Like, those would be dudes whose brains I feel like are worth picking, just because again they've put in so much effort. Like, I don't know the full extent of it, but I have obviously been out to 3 shows. I chat with these dudes. I've seen it to a certain point, and it's like they've put their own tons and tons of their own personal time and even money into getting these shows happen. And like, I don't think that necessarily gets the shine that it should. And I'm not saying people are like intentionally overlooking it, but it's easy to sort of just take what they've done and just, not appreciate it fully.
Because I
so
think
that
like
I don't know.
Like last year, I feel like since they're taming everything and not doing like the month to month, I kind of feel bad because I took it for granted last year, and like I wish I could fly out. That's how I feel personally.
No, I'm right there with you. So like, that would be my answer to that, is like, I think Caliber would just be interesting because dude, he's so good. He's so good. I think he would be a fun one to talk to. And then any of those 3, all of them preferably, because again, I think they'll all have a different perspective as far as like what they've contributed and what it's like to try to get these shows going. As far as like live, I mean, I would love, this is a general thing, like I would love to just do like back when they were still doing the free shows at the boxes. I don't know if that's still going to be a thing moving forward, but if for some reason there's ever like collective themed nights, I would absolutely love to do a whole live thing with Masterminds. But like, because I know Odd is learning to DJ, Keep Guru can already DJ, Bad Kids can DJ.
I got a shirt. I got a Mastermind shirt.
Yo, appreciate you, dude.
Holy shit,
appreciate you. And I'm sure others are, going, but it's like BK already knows what's going on. He's already done these shows. He's familiar. Like, he keeps doing more and more shows. I know Odd's learning, and Odd's got his rap stuff going on too. And like I said, Keith's been doing shows, both funk and drum and bass. And then, if I could get my act together, it's like, here's a quick 4, like right off the bat. So definitely any of those guys. But then if I want to like single out somebody individually that just isn't with like anything that I'm doing, like I want to see Spaced. I want to see Spaced. Jeez. Yeah, like his brother Blank Space is just killing it in like the EDM world, and so it's like he just turned 21, I think, fairly recently, so he can like get in and do the shows. But like, I fuck with space music a lot for sure. And his is just, I don't know, he's super super talented, and he's definitely somebody I think I want to hear him rant for sure.
Like when it comes to DJing, I feel like his style is really familiar. Like I just got into listening to him, I'd say like around like fall, like around my birthday. That's when I first started listening to him, and now I have him on my repeats almost every single week. So
yeah, dude, he's sick, because it's like he's similar to me in the sense that I think it's pretty obvious like where the influences are. You know what I mean? Like I think people could easily point out who like my biggest 3 influences, at least within the Phonk community, are, and I'm sure people could do the same for him, and there's obviously overlap there, but I still feel like he does things his own way. And he's also so young that it's one of those things that it's like you're already, you know what I mean, you're growing at such an insane pace. You do hella numbers and you're 21, opposed to like me, dude. Like I'm old and washed. Like I'm 34. So I'm just like, you know, he's got all the time in the world. Like he's already so good. Like he's one of those dudes that I can just see taking it somewhere, because he's got time. He's consistent. He's already so good.
Damn, man, that's a lot. That's a lot of people. Let me see.
Sorry, I know you asked for one, and I'm just like, bro, get the
bro.
whole fucking community.
Dude,
like,
I wish. But yeah, like I have a list of like 30 people, and I always have this paper on my desk to be like, okay, I need to get this done, or I need these
like
people.
check one off the list.
Yeah, like
yeah. Also, thank you, Rocketman, for recommending me. That was nice.
God bless him, bro.
Alex, the man. I had so much fun chilling with him when I was in Denver last and hanging out at his place. Like he's a good dude.
Yeah, I'm so mad that like I didn't record like the second hour that we were talking, bro, because we were on the phone for like 4 hours, and I was like nuts. I was like I should have done like a plus series to that, but I'm glad I just got the episode out, or like I'm glad I have it scheduled in the future. But yeah,
are you backlogged right now? Like, do you got like whatever? I mean, you're gonna have me whenever this wraps. You just dropped the Enoch one. You said you got Ponsuda, so you have Rocketman. So it's like there's 2. Do you have like are you trying to drop one like I'm trying to week drop or like bi-weekly or something, and then just have like a backlog of everybody?
Yeah. So I tried getting this all in bulk. That's why I kind of have like the scheduled Monday and Fridays stuff, so that if I can't do one day, I can do the other day. So right now I have a backlog of about maybe a half a dozen people already recorded and everything. On top of that, I plan like on the second channel, I just want to grow it as much as I possibly can, and because my main channel is always my priority with the music and everything and the videos dropping weekly. My main goal is to post an interview bi-weekly. So like the week I'm not like if there's a week I don't interview anybody, I have like an extra week or 2 to either edit something or like get a guest ready. So the next one isn't going to be posted until the 21st of this month. So that's plenty of time for me to either get another person on here, have somebody that I already recorded, or have somebody that I already had on here, so that I have plenty of time until, at this point, April. If I just drop every single person that I've already done.
Yeah, dude, that's sick. Good deal. The grind never stops.
Work don't stop, grind don't stop, bro. Like you saw in my video, like I
throw on the drift phone, dude. That Sigma grind set mindset, man. Don't forget it.
Yeah, man.
Rise and grind, dude.
Work don't stop, grind don't stop, man. Like that's one thing I really do like about like drift phonk. Like, hate it or not, like it's very motivating.
Yeah,
like it's actually good, because like it sounds weird how I'm gonna explain it, but in my head, like it makes perfect sense. Like everybody knows in Colorado, bunch of pot, lot of weed, lot of stoners, versus like drift phonk, polar opposite, probably like straight edge, or maybe like people that just go to the gym 24/7 and just need something upbeat. It's like 2 different sections of this.
For sure, everything has its place. It's fine. I don't think anybody would have cared had it not, obviously carried a name that definitely, I'm sure, has meant a lot to people over the years. But whatever, it's not for me. But everything has its place, and it's like it's not, I'm no authority on anybody's life. It's not for me to decide what's cool or what others can enjoy. But I certainly am not a fan, for the record. But whatever.
Yeah, like I told Freddie this. I told Beck that. No, I didn't tell Beck. I told this people. I tell this to people all the time. Like, skip button. It's a skip button. it's a
Right.
skip button on Spotify, bro. Like, I'm not complaining anymore about fucking Drift Funk. I know like people want to make money off of this. I know people like hate the fact that it has like probably like 7 million ads on Spotify, but at the end of the day, I'm just here to support who I support, and I'm here to listen
Dude,
to
yeah,
who
of
I want to
course.
listen to.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, like let's just be real. The more you like, if you do just, if it comes across and you just skip it, or the algorithms are gonna stop giving it to you eventually, or at least as often. So it's one of those things where it's like we're all capable of curating what we want to hear rather easily these days, and the technology sort of supports it. So it's kind of just like whatever, do you?
Yeah, I was also gonna say like a dream interview that I know that I want the backlash from it, but
Oh,
I like
you want Kordhell? Is that where you're going to go straight to the top?
yeah, bro. I really wanna, if that were to happen, I know I'm gonna get backlash about it, and I know like people
Nah.
would hate, either hate it or be like, damn, this guy really cares about this shit. Like
I
I'm
mean,
being
probably the
genuine
latter,
about
to
it.
be
Yeah,
honest. Like, I mean, I was gonna say, ultimately, too, it's like, who cares
yeah, and
what anybody else thinks?
I
But
can't.
like, that would expose you, regardless of how big he is. It's obviously just a different side of, if we're gonna call it funk, the different side of music. It's like you're just broadening your horizons, and take his size out of it. It's just gonna expose you to, a newer audience potentially. So it's like there's no incentive for you to not do that.
But
It's assuming it would pan out and work that way, and you'd be able to get it. But yeah, it would be of no detriment to you, because it's like, so what?
if people watch it and just be like, this is some bullshit, thank you for the exposure.
Right.
like what? Like, you're helping me. We're just complaining about
Right.
it.
Oh, one. I mean, you're still just going to end up like you just named off people. Like we've all named people we want to see interviewed. You've already got so many interviews, and you've got some OGs involved. It's like you're still. It's not like it's the only content you'd be covering. You're covering,
Yeah,
the people that like the old heads of funk want to hear. So
yeah.
it's whatever.
Publicity is publicity. Like, if I need to grow or want to grow, like, I have to do some. I want to say controversial because like
Dude, yeah,
I don't
because
even know, man.
it's not even, no, I was gonna say interviewing him isn't like inherently controversial at all. People
Mm-hmm.
just have like strong opinions on
Just
his
him.
music more than others, and just him in general. And I mean, I'm not particularly versed on whatever him in general. I just know, you know what I mean. It was just kind of impossible to avoid hearing his name for a certain period, like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I think this is actually interesting because I just started following him like a week ago, and he already has a billion streams on Spotify as of like this week, along with getting invited to the Grammys this weekend. And
That's
it's
honestly insane.
yeah, like him and I think his media crew or Black 17 Media, whatever label he's a part of, like he had the crew there, and he took pictures with them at the actual Grammys awards. And I'm like, in the last 2 or 3 years that he's been on the platform, he's gained more than any of us combined have been
Yo,
able
yeah,
to
for
do.
sure. Yeah, I mean, wasn't it him that I mean, I think, and others, but like, didn't a bunch of those dudes get like fat? I mean, for whatever, in general, it'd be cool. I think all of us would be lying to say like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of the Fast and the Furious movies, but like, didn't like a handful of those guys
Yeah,
get in
diverse
on this soundtrack? Like,
and
if
Kordhell,
music
I
as your
think.
career, was the goal, like that's a massive, I mean, it's a massive achievement in general, but it's like for those guys that are clearly their ambitions, you know what I mean, we're going in that direction. That's an insane achievement,
Yeah,
especially, I mean, regardless of how long it took. But for him to, yeah, get some recognition at that level in a few years is honestly insane.
yeah.
Maybe a little bit of, lightning in a bottle kind of thing, but like, right place, right time. But like, hey, who cares?
He collabed with Key Glock on the Fast and Furious tape.
That's so insane to me.
Oh, Jesus, man. There's Oliver Tree, Kordhell, Diverse, G3X, Pharmacist, also a GCJ.
That, which is sick.
Jesus.
Pharmacist is dope. Like I definitely prefer the Pharmacist like pre-drift or whatever the subgenre is, for sure. Like
Hmm.
Pharmacist music, but like Pharmacist is so dope.
I love
Well
Ghostface.
deserved.
I love
Yeah,
Ghostface because he, this is just me because I'm biased about the shit, but I like
sure.
Ghostface over Pharmacist because Ghostface shares a birthday with me.
All right, fair. Hey,
Yeah.
we all got our thing.
Yeah, I just love Ghostface, and I think he did a tutorial on how to actually make his style of music, and I was like, damn, that's actually pretty dope.
Hell yeah. Shout out all the tutorial makers, man. Zap Beats, 127,
Shinzo with you, bro.
Shinzo.
That's what I was gonna talk about. How did you feel about that, bro?
I hated how much of it, like, I sound like similar to certain moments on here. I feel like I sounded like an absolute doofus, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, but I was flattered. Obviously, as a whole, like, the whole thing is like a positive takeaway. Shinzo's awesome. We got in Masterminds at the same time together, and like we're on each other's radar before that. He's one of those dudes that like we've definitely just grown in unison, kind of parallel to one another. At, you know, like we both got in Masterminds at like, I don't know, a few hundred followers or something, like very, very unknown at the time. And yeah, man, Shinzo kills it. He's also got his own style and doesn't have to drop that often. And, you know, the people are always there waiting to see what he's doing. And yeah, it's sick that whatever he's putting out content for the newer producers to learn from. Cause like jumping all the way back to the beginning of this, you know what I mean? The Zap Beats tutorials and whatever else that have, you know, definitely helped out a lot more producers than maybe he even knows. I mean, same with 127s. 127s blew up too. Like 120, and that's a dude definitely to learn from. That guy's sick. Like,
yeah, because
127's music has been he's actually, funny enough, my first friend in Phonk.
Really?
Yeah, I met him. Sorry, I cut you off. I'll let you get your thought.
No,
I'll get into the 127 shit.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
shit,
the Zap Beats thing. Yeah.
Oh, I
talked over you twice by accident.
No, man,
like,
you're good.
There's that doofus moment I was talking about, man.
My bad, bro.
Just saying all the words.
Oh man, I was gonna say the Zap Beats tutorial, the Drift Phonk tutorial before like Spotify created the playlist had 500,000 views.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
Insane. The appetite for that felt like, I'm sure again, like most things that aren't overnight, but the appetite for that felt like it was overnight. But
it's crazy. Yeah. All right. Dream collabs that you have done, or like, okay, this is basically a two-parter that I probably asked other people. Like, what's the collab that you want to do with somebody you've already done and someone you haven't done already?
I definitely, within Phonk, I mean, I've been fortunate enough as of late, like last 6 months, to get what I feel like maybe could all be considered dream collabs, like being able to work with Intius. I've got something trying to line up like right now with Vaughn, which is one that I've wanted for a little while. So hopefully we can make that happen. Dream one that definitely happened, like probably above everybody else, like no surprise given that there was like an entire segment of me gassing dude up earlier, but the Kloudbug one definitely meant a lot to me for sure. Just always inspired by whatever he's doing, and just, you know, cool ass dude. So that one definitely is up there for one that has meant something to me. One that still needs to happen, and we have talked about, so I'll just say this, even though like it's going to happen eventually, just because again he's been so kind to me and was like one of the earliest SoundCloud producers. I want to get a collab with Jason, but I just want it to be correct. And we had started one, he had sent me some stuff, and it didn't land, I think, where either of us wanted. So like we're getting, you know, round 2, 3, like whatever it takes to kind of get one that hits and I think taps into, you know, the best of the both of us. So that one. But if I were to remove it from Phonk, probably, I mean, I think this would be a no-brainer for me. I would love to have a song with Lex Luger, like for sure. That whole, just everything he did with Juicy, that whole Dat Piff mixtape, like 2010s era, is just so fun to me. Given that I was also like, you know, just those were my college years and like my, you know, younger partying years and whatnot. I have like a lot of nostalgia attached to that entire era. So definitely Lex Luger or like a Kenny Beats or somebody who's just as versatile as it gets, but can, you know, make something sick for Vince Staples. But then on the other hand has like, I don't know, all the stuff he did with Key, or some of the even like the harder stuff he did with O3 Greedo. Like there's a lot of stuff to be a fan of when it comes to Kenny Beats. So yeah, probably those two if I had to like name some like industry guys outside of our community.
Yeah, man. So we're already reaching an hour and a half. This is gonna be this is gonna
I'm surprised it's not been 4 hours, man, with all the shit I've said.
Yeah, so this is gonna be sort of, I'm gonna try my best to like have like an extra part on Spotify so I can promote it on Spotify as well. So this is gonna be closing thoughts. I'm gonna just be like closing thoughts and everything like that, and then you can shout out anybody that you want. And then I'm gonna just say we're done, and then I'm gonna re-record something else, then we can just keep talking, man.
Yeah. You gotta draw that line in the sand with me, or apparently it's never gonna happen. I almost gave you a little preamble at the beginning, like an apology of just like, sorry if I'm long winded. I can be like that, especially about shit that I care about, but whatever.
Yeah, man. Closing thoughts, and then we're gonna get to the Spotify exclusive portion where it's just gonna be absolutely no edits whatsoever.
My worst nightmare. Like, a listener's worst nightmare.
Bro. All right, man.
Word though.
Any
But yeah,
closing thoughts, bro?
yeah. I mean, I've said it as much. Like, well, I try to keep it brief, but I mean, it's really a thank you to everybody, I guess, that's been listening to me. Shout out you, of course, first and foremost, for doing this, and Enoch and Rocketman and any of the recommendations, BK, anybody that said anything nice. Definitely appreciate it. Want to give huge thanks, and I know like there's probably a whole segment on it again, but to all the Phonk Around to Find Out dudes. I mean, I could go through and name them all, but I don't need to. Everybody that's on that roster, everybody that's rinsed my stuff, helped me with the DJing thing, taking care of me at the shows, specifically Corey, and like, you know, I'm not an artist performing, but like led me in the green room and let me get to experience it and just hang out and be a part of the whole process. That's definitely meant a ton to me. So thankful to all those guys for just doing what they do and putting on for the community. And then, yeah, man, I guess the two collectives I'm in, Masterminds was sick. Always thrilled to be in there. It's been awesome to like have people, you know, take a chance with you and kind of have like that other layer of community and camaraderie that we all have like outside of the SoundCloud scene, you know, in and of itself. So definitely shout out Masterminds. And then be on the lookout for the other collective I'm in. My slow ass finally finished my song, which was the one holding up the tape, but nobody's really known. I think it's just been formed, but we haven't put anything out. But Infamous Mafia was started by Freddie Confetti and Trap Bonsai. Mainly ran by Freddie, I think, right now. But definitely shout out everybody in that collective, and we have a tape on the way. So debut tape from that collective, and yeah, man, I've said plenty, so that's all I got.